I can't possibly leave my kids. Who's going to take care of them? Emma was seeing a therapist who had talked to me and said that she was concerned about the safety in the house because of my drinking. She suggested I go to AA. I told her she was crazy. And then there was a football game, and the Patriots were playing Is All I Know, and the kids weren't home, so I started to drink at like whatever time it was, 11 in the afternoon for the pregame, and a girlfriend came over and said, I just want your mom or your sister wanted me to check in on you or something. And I told her to get the F out of my house. And all I know is I woke up at like 8:00 at night. There was like dogs had defecated in the living room. I had deleted everybody out of my phone except for the dog walker and the babysitter, like my children, my mother, everybody off of my iPhone.
You did that during this
I guess
period
it
of
was
time,
like a
or-
black, no, it was like a, yeah, I guess so.
Like a blackout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had like a total moment of like, I was sick and tired. I was like, I cannot do this anymore. I cannot do it anymore. And I called my, found out where my kids were. They were still at their dad's. They were coming home because they didn't stay at his house very often. And I called my best friend and told her that my best work friend, who's also my best friend, and said, I think I have a really bad drinking problem and I really need help. And can you come and watch the children while I like, I'm serious about not drinking this week? And she was like, you don't have a drinking problem. You drink too much, but like, so does half the people we know. And I said, I do. And she said, but I've seen you every other weekend for a year. She had breast cancer, and I was on one of like the buddies that would go over, and I was not drinking when I would go over to her house to change her ports and do all that stuff. So, 12 hours, I could not have a drink. So convinced Linda that I needed her to come over. She came over and watched my kids, and I detoxed for the week on Benadryl and melatonin. I went to work.
That sounds terrible.
It was so dumb.
Detoxing on Benadryl and melatonin?
I would go to work.
Well, I thought when you had said that, I thought that was to go to sleep.
I would go, well, I didn't realize I was detox. I mean, I had when I look back on it, I was like, when I went home for Christmas, I couldn't sleep because I was itching so much. I just thought my mom's house was really dry. So I now know that like itching is a sign of detox.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, when I went skiing once we used to take these trips with the clients, and I was in Vail once, and I fell and I hit my head, and it ends up I had a very severe concussion, but I thought I was altitude sick and had drank the night before. So I thought the vomiting and was because of drinking too much. And in reality, it was because I had hit my head on something and had a concussion. So I thought like the itchiness and the nausea and the night sweats were because I was in menopause, and I thought the itchiness was that I
had the same thing.
Well, apparently it's that you're detoxing. But so I would go to work, and I would come home and take a Benadryl for the itching, which knocked me out. Then I would wake up, and then I would take a melatonin to help me get back. And so I would take I have no idea how many I would take multiple Benadryl a night, and I would take and then I would get up and go to work. And Linda was there to watch my children because I was so irritable. I was like, no one can be near me.
Yeah.
So I just did that in my room. And while I was doing that during the day, I would talk to my work partner, and I called HR. I called the only person I knew who had stopped drinking ever. And she told me she had gone to this place in Union Square that had helped her to stop drinking. And it was an IOP, which is an intensive outpatient. So I thought my plan was to have my job, go to this on my way home from work, and then go home and be with my kids. And I knew Hazelton, this place called Hazelton is in New York City too, which is a very well-known drug and alcohol rehab place. I wouldn't go to it because it was on the 2-3 on the west side, and I commuted on the 4-5, which is the east side. Like I literally wouldn't go out of my way
you need
to go to the best place.
Obviously.
Or the best place. So I did all of the work. I did insurance. I wasn't going to have to take a leave of absence, but I told my client and my boss that my clients and my boss, like I'd probably not be able to take them out because I was going to have to leave work every day at 5:00. Anyway, so took Friday off from work, got in a cute little outfit with my little bag, came down my front steps. My friend Linda was there saying like, just be open-minded. And I'm like, of course, this is my idea. I'm not going to be open-minded. And then the front doorbell rings and I'm like, why is my doorbell ringing at 8:30 in the morning? And in walks my mother and my 2 sisters and my brother-in-law and my friend Jessica and
The surprise party.
and Bob, the interventionist, who I thought was, I didn't know he was an interventionist, strange man.
Right.
And I was like, what's going on? And Linda's like, just be open, just be open. And they were like, we want to talk to you about your alcohol. And I was like, you don't need to.
This is the Linda that told you don't have a drinking problem.
Right. I was like, don't, thank you so much for coming, but you don't need to. I know I'm an alcoholic and I'm on my way to get help and I have a plan. And they were like, Bob was like, well, I think you should just listen to what, they came 2 days before and they've been at the hotel and they've, a lot of time has gone into this. And Linda told me to please listen. And I agreed to listen and they started to read their letters. And I was like, you should have called me. Like, why aren't you communicating with me? Because if you would have called me, I would have told you not to come because I already have a plan. This is your fault.
Right.
It's your fault. You wasted the time. And then somebody said something I didn't like. And I was like, I'm not going to listen to anybody except for Rob and my mother. And that's it. And this interventionist was very clever and like pivoted because I was like, just let me do it my way. And if it doesn't work, I'll do it your way. And the interventionist like pivoted. And I just remember my recollection is that he told me I had a better success of fixing things if I went to CARON and went inpatient versus outpatient.
Right.
And that, like,
because you're like mathematical, right? It's logical.
And I was like, I don't want to fail. Like, I don't want to fail. So I want to go where it's maybe best. And then I went upstairs and I was like, I need a minute. I went upstairs. I called this girlfriend of mine who had stopped drinking. And my daughter, Emma, was somehow home. I think she was in finals or midterms. And I called this woman, Victoria, who actually lives not far from here now where we are. And I said, can you believe, in righteous indignation, and said, can you believe that my family has showed up downstairs and thinks that I need to go to rehab? And she said, they're telling you should go to rehab, Christine? And I said, yes, 30 days in some place in Pennsylvania. Can you frickin' believe that they think that and I'm telling them I can do what you did. She's a lawyer at Fried Frank. She was. And she's like, well, I sent my daughter to camp for 3 months and I took a 3-month leave of absence and I went every day from 9 to 5. And she said, you should just get in the car and go with them. And I was like, And I looked at Emma, my daughter, and said, is it okay if I think about going? So I'm asking the child with restrictive anorexia if it's okay for me to. So there's my codependency. And she's like, I just want you to be better.
Yeah, of course.
And I went downstairs and my mom said she just wanted me to go and rest. And I did one last push. I was like, I can't possibly leave my kids. Who's going to take care of them? My ex-husband will not. And my sister, God bless her, whipped out a legal pad and had a calendar and had coverage between my babysitter and my best friends and my brother-in-law. And they literally had coverage for a month. So my ex-husband took them on the 2 weekends he was supposed to, 2 overnights. And I was like, okay. I went to CARON in the car with my sister and this guy, Bob. And the entire way there, I called every bank. I called every credit card. I called Con Ed. It was like I was going to Mars and might not come back. I called the schools, my daughter's school, and talked to their psychologist and their homeroom teacher.
This is consistent with what you said earlier about in a crisis situation, you rise.
Made sure everybody knew where I was going to be, made sure my kids were taken care of, called the dog walker. You
planned it out.
It was, yeah.